Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to day 19 of 31 Days of Reflections. Oh, how He loves me. Reflections of God's love for me and for you. This is Tina Hobson, the author of Oh, How He Loves Me, and I am continuously humbled and excited to come to you to share me with you through the readings of my book, by allowing you to reflect with me, thus reflecting on your own of how God has saved you by grace, how He has loved you, how He has carried you through thick and through thin. So please sit back and enjoy this short video tonight as I share with you day 19 of 31 Days of Reflections. And special announcement, tomorrow, day 20, as I said before, every 10 days I will be giving away a special gift to those who have chosen to write a comment on the YouTube page, on my YouTube channel page, telling me how my daily reflections have blessed you hopefully as much as they've blessed me. I will randomly pick a winner on day 20 to receive a free gift. And on that day, I'll tell you what that gift is. Okay? So let's go on as usual. Reflection 19. Psalms 23, verse 4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You know, as I reflect back on this chapter, this short chapter, I have to be honest. You know, this is what 31 Days of Reflections is all about: honesty, transparency, allowing you to see the inside of me. No fluff, no circumstance, just you knowing me from the inside out. And I have to be honest and say that walking through the valley of the shadow of death, there was no fear. If there was fear, there was very little fear. The fear was temporary. The fear was very, very short-lived, because I had become accustomed. I was used to the abnormal being the norm. Not sure if you understand what I mean, but anything negative, you know, the drugs, the alcohol, the prostitution, the jails, the mental institution, the kidnappings, the rapes, the suicide attempts, all of that had become normal. As abnormal as it is to the normal person. If you can define normal for me, please let me know. Put that in a comment on my YouTube page. But I had become used to the shootings, you know, hanging out all night, sleeping all day, you know, after being in the after-hour joints all night. You know, the more negative it was, the more excited I got. You know, the more thrilled I got, the more negativity attracted to me, because that's who I had became. I had become the walking dead. So being dead was not something that I feared. Walking in the shadow of death, well, I told you there were so many times I wanted to be dead. I looked forward to death. So that was never an issue for me for a long time, until deliverance, of course. So I reflect back upon the times when being abnormally normal just was a lifestyle. It was what I looked forward to. It was what I anticipated, what I woke up to experience. My first thoughts and whenever I would wake up in the middle of the evening, late afternoon or whatever, was, what am I going to get into today? What's going to happen today? You know, where am I going to go today? Where am I going to get the dope today? Where am I going to find somebody who's going to provide me with the money to get the drugs. Okay, those were the things. Those were the thoughts that I had. That was my mindset. That was my mindset, and it was totally warped, just warped to the millionth extreme. I'm just so happy that today, knowing how much God loves me, that He had protected me. You hear me say this over and over and over again, and I want you to understand that I have to say it because I believe it, and I'm grateful that God carried me through those valleys. It was not me who got me out of those valleys. It was me who took me into them, but it was He who brought me out of those valleys. It was He who saved me from death. It was He who just turned my life around. You know, it was the one night we talked about, you know, how He'll wreck our plans before our plans wreck us. And that's exactly what He did for me. He wrecked everything by sitting me in that mental institution November the 1st, 1989. What a blessing. What a God-sent blessing to know that He cared enough about me to put me in a place of protection, actually, because by then I had no place else to go. I was living in the back of the store, of a store where I worked at. I had one car payment left on my car. I couldn't pay it, so it was repossessed. Didn't ever hardly know where my next meal was coming from. Barely bathed, no, rarely bathed. You know, I was just a mess. I was just a total mess until that night, November the 1st, where I just said, God help me. God help me. I didn't know any other prayer. I didn't even know I was praying. I'm sure there were other people praying for me, but I didn't even know if that was a prayer or not. I just said, God help me. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I surrendered. I surrendered all. And His rod and His staff, they comforted me. He laid His hand upon me. He sat me down. He put me in a place of safety. He put me in a place where I could no longer be arrogant or self-centered or egotistical, you know, or grandiose. Where He set me, there was no room for that. That was not the place where they woke you up when they wanted to wake you up. They told you to go to sleep when they wanted you to go to sleep. They fed you when they wanted to feed you. Oh, but guess what? As uncomfortable as I was with the path to comfort, I didn't leave that place. I didn't go anywhere. They let me know continuously that the doors were not locked. Even though I complained and I complained and I complained, I didn't walk out. God wouldn't let me walk out. He kept me there long enough for me to get in tune or connected with the help that I really needed. And that was Him. He left me in that place long enough for me to reconnect with Him. I talked about that childhood faith. That childhood, you know, when I gave my life to Christ as a child, and how it changed my life until I changed it back again to something that no, I'm not proud of, but it happened. But I'm grateful because, again, I was saved by grace. So I said all of that to say this. If you have become comfortable with being uncomfortable tonight, reflect upon those feelings. Reflect upon those behaviors. Reflect upon God's love for you. How did you survive? How did you make it through? How are you able to listen to this video? How are you able to do anything? It's because of Him. Because He loves you so much. He loves you so very, very much. He loves you with that agape love that no man can ever give you. No dope could ever make you feel. Nobody touching your body could ever make you feel. No, none of those things. Only the love of God will comfort you all the days of your life. So this is Tina. This has been day 19 of 31 days of reflections. Reflect upon God's love for you, how he brought you through. And remember that something greater is happening in your lives today. Be glad and rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice. This is the day that the Lord has made. And he made it for you. And he made it for me. Have a blessed night. Tomorrow, again, is day 20 of 31 days of reflections. And I'll be giving away a free gift. So stay tuned. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a blessed evening. Good night.